Now we're going to move into our fireside chat with Tommy and our host, Nick. Thank you again so much. Up next, again, we do have our fireside chat. We will be hosting a live Q&A as well in our panel. So if you have any questions you'd like to ask our panelists, please do so by typing the question into the Q&A section located at the bottom or to the side of your screen. I would now like to introduce our moderator, Nick Moderam from On Market, and our CEO, Tommy Hepper.
Hello. Hi, Nick. You might have to unmute yourself.
There we go, that's better. Look, thanks everyone. Thank you, firstly, Jessica, Emily and Tegan for that great tour of the facility. It's always great to see the inside of an operational medicinal cannabis facility, obviously one of the largest in Australia. What we're doing now is a bit of a fireside chat with myself, Nick Mottram from On Market, and Tommy Hupert, the CEO of Cannatrek and the founder of Cannatrek. We're going to be talking a little bit about the business, the crowdfunding raise, and some more strategic directions coming through for the business. So look, from the crowdfunding side, we're very pleased to have Cannatrek as one of our last raises for 2020. For those who are aware, we've currently raised over 2.1 million. We're looking to raise up to 2.5 and still 7 days to go on the offer. And we had close to 600 people invest in the offer. So this will, once we do get over around 2.2, 2.3, we'll make it the largest crowdfunding offer for 2020 as well, which is a great effort and a real, I suppose, testament to Cannatrek and what they've built within the business. Look, Tommy, before we jump into a few questions, did you have any words you wanted to say?
I'd just like to thank the team for putting this webinar together. It was a challenging technology challenge, so thank you for the great tour, Tegan and Emily. Fascinating. There's so many questions involved in how to create, how to make medicine. So appreciate the time that we spent this morning.
Great. Thanks, Tommy. Look, I suppose first thing we want to touch on is obviously this first webinar as part of the crowdfunding raise. So it'd be good to understand from you, why did you choose equity crowdfunding as a way to fund the growth of Cannatrek?
Yeah, so certainly there's a number of funding opportunities, whether it's through sophisticated investors or the capital markets or through debt and equity. So we look at this as an opportunity which has really been decided because of the number of interest we had through retail investors over the years. The project's been around for almost 4 years now. So we're really happy that we gave the chance for retail investors to own a piece of a cannabis company.
Great. And look, I think as we discussed the other day, Tommy, this might be the last time that retail investors get a chance to participate in the company before a potential listing sometime down the track. So it is a great opportunity for the retail investor. I think another key focus that you've had as part of this offer is to give benefits to patients as well. Be good to get your input on that side of things. So what is the benefit for patients to sign up as an investor in this?
Yeah, so the opportunity for patients to also be involved in the investment side is quite unique. We believe that the opportunity presented itself. There's been a number of bottlenecks in the industry. Pricing is a major concern that we've found with the price of medicine being unaffordable. So we've offered some unique patient rewards to support the reduction in prices.
I think that's great. The details of what those patient rewards are available in the offer document. Yep. On the On Market site. Look, Tommy, I suppose what we saw with Emily and Tegan on in the tour was the focus on the cultivation side, but a key part of Cannatrek's model is the seed to patient. Tommy, are you on mute?
No, I'm with you, Nick. I'm here.
Yeah. The key part of the Cannatrek's business model is the vertically integrated from seed to patient business model. Be good to get your input about why you see vertical integration being so important.
Yeah, so we've looked at this space for many years, and I think the key is the size and scalability of a project to reach revenues and profits early on. So we've decided to look at a vertical integration model which touches the entire supply chain to be able to ensure that affordability and price for the patient consumer is appropriate.
Yeah, sure. Look, and I think you've also said that you're targeting a 20% market share. How do you plan to achieve that? That's a fairly ambitious goal.
Well, we're looking at this industry. We understand there's been over 50 licenses which have been issued by the ODC. I think for a company with plans for scale development, we have to look at a target of market share, and at the end of the day, the production capability in Australia will be supported by the demand of the products being offered. So we're very challenged by this target, and we believe that it is possible.
Very good. And obviously, a key part of achieving that is going to be building out the Shepparton facility. I know Emily touched on that earlier, but it'd be good to get an update from you on where that's up to and the progress you've made with that. You know, obviously, you've got the major project status from the federal government, and obviously that's a key milestone. But it'd be good to get an update on where that's at. Yeah,
so we've recently had our licenses from the ODC being approved on that site. It did take a while. I would say longer than 12 months. So to have a site which has the full development approval from the local government, and to now have the ODC licenses which permit the use of the site, and to have it scalable, is a great position for Cannatrek to grow as the market grows. We're looking at a 1 hectare development. It's about 3.5 times the size of our Queensland facility. So again, we're going to grow as the market grows, as the demand slowly increases, and there's more uptake through the medical industry. Doctors are more comfortable prescribing it, and that will allow Cannatrek to grow appropriately with the industry growth in Australia.
Yeah, it's definitely an impressive facility that you're looking to grow to construct down there, obviously in that scale process. Now, another question that does come through a lot is around, and there was asked, Emily also touched on it as well, is, you know, why not grow outdoors? Why grow inside a facility and go to the expense of building something like Shepparton? I think what Emily touched on, obviously up in Queensland, the big issue is storms. You can't have your crops being belted around by a tropical storm in Brisbane, but it's probably a similar issue potentially down in Shepparton, anywhere really in Australia.
Yeah, we're seeing protected cropping come through in many facets, mainly in the food chain, where farmers like to have predictability. We talk about the consistency of climate in the greenhouses, whether the external elements change, inside they don't change. So there is a certain stability of growing under protected cropping, and we just feel it's just too risky. As they say in Melbourne, you get 4 seasons in one day, which is a disaster. Imagine growing for 12 weeks and the last few days you have a wipeout from an external weather event. And this has to be looked at. Protected cropping, we can grow all year round. We can have one season and multiple crops.
Yeah, that definitely makes a lot of sense to me. Look, Tommy, we've got a question that's coming through, and it's in line with one of the questions I asked. I was going to ask you as well is, you know, on the export side, Cannatrek's, you've made some great progress in some recent exports going out to the UK, and a recent agreement you signed with Nimbus Health in Germany. Do you see export markets being viable for Australian products, especially given the high potential operating costs that might exist in Australia?
I think I'll answer your your question, the last part first, the higher operating costs. Without doubt, we have higher labour costs, but I think innovation, automation will make Australia competitive. We can't underestimate the fabulous climate we have in Australia. We know in North America, they're under snow half the year. Queensland, we have summer all year round. We don't use any any heating. It's not required. So there's a number of advantages of growing in the Great Australian weather. We have to protect from the changes in and spikes in climate events, which I talked about with protected cropping. So the export markets are a natural opportunity where some of the markets in Europe don't have the cultivation potential as we do. So certainly these opportunities and pipelines that we've created into the UK and into Europe are a great chance to feed into new markets, especially at this early stage of the global distribution. And we're seeing uptake country by country, introducing more, I would say, accessible laws for medicinal cannabis.
Look, I think that also touches on to another question that came through, is in around the GMP certification that is required for exports into Europe, as I understand it. The Cannatrek's facilities are GMP certified?
So they're a very, very important question. The regulation in Australia looks at GMP for the manufacturing, which is post-harvest. We've set up our facility under GMP classification for once the plant is harvested. So we go through a QA process, we cure the flower. It takes a few weeks to go through that process. It's all under GMP classification, and that will allow Cannatrek to be able to export the product to overseas markets.
Yeah, sure. I think one thing I understand within the cannabis market is a lot of the Canadian facilities, although they might have large production, are not certified to that level. So it is difficult for them to export into the European market.
Yeah, and I think that's a testimony to the insight that our regulators did when they wrote the legislation. They set Australian production to be accepted to these global and European markets. So the standard very high. We have very good reputation for pharmaceutical and agricultural products. So we're really in a great position as a producer for these regions.
Obviously, the Australian medicinal cannabis legislation has taken a long time to come through, but as you mentioned, it's probably been, to some extent, been a benefit. But what do you see being the biggest hurdles that medicinal cannabis companies face in Australia?
I think the regulatory risk was a real issue early on. We're now 4 years and 1 month since the legislation passed in 2016. So I think the regulator and the government have acknowledged that there needs to be far more resources, and that has been playing out in the last year. We're seeing a lot of simplification, alignment of that regulatory process, whether it's applying for licenses or varying licenses and permits. So there's been a fantastic goodwill, both from industry and government, to streamline and have far better efficiency in the administration of the Act.
I think we've seen that come through as well with the growing number of patient numbers, the streamlining of patient approvals, and obviously Cannatrek, as you guys have been at the forefront in terms of number of units being sold and patients being prescribed. Are you able to give a bit of an update on where you stand on patient numbers and units being sold?
So Cannatrek has had a very strong 2020. I think the organic development of the market has played very well. We've been importing product for over 2 years now. So we've established some great distribution channels. We've sold well over 25,000 units, predominantly products coming out of Canada. We now have a number of suppliers, Colombia, Northern America, and recently out of Israel. Now, the reason why we are importing is because there is a time lag for local production to come online, which is pivoting as we speak. So I think we'll see our reliance on imports fall as the local production comes and increases over the next 12 months.
Yeah, and obviously I think your most recent monthly sales number was over 500,000 in revenue for the month of November, which is a great effort.
We've had a stellar year, and again, it comes back to the organic growth of the industry. More doctors, more acceptance. Every day we hear great research news. Last week we had announced by the WHO, where there was a discussion in the United States. So the sector is certainly throwing lots of positive elements, I think, into the growth of the industry, and Cannatrek in Australia has been really fortunate to be able to reach these milestones of sales. So,
yeah, look, I think that's a good comment around the sentiment has definitely changed. Now, we've seen a lot of the players in the listed market who have all had a very strong growth in share price in the last sort of month to 2 months. Some doubling and tripling, just basically because there's change in sentiment. Companies are starting to deliver, and you guys are obviously at the forefront of that delivery, given the run rate revenue you've got and the potential growth that's going to come through, particularly as the Queensland facility gets into your perpetual harvest, and hopefully Shepparton comes on.
Yeah, we do have a great opportunity to be able to have local production in a growing market. Is really a perfect situation to be in. We're very much like to see seed to revenue and seed to profit increase. It's been a very, I would say, difficult space globally. But Cannatrek really is aiming to have profit margins improving in the short term, and we believe we can deliver that because of the size of our facility, being not too small or not too big, and be able to look at the scale up in Shepparton as the industry grows.
Sure. Tommy, we might just jump in. There's a few more questions that have come in from the viewers. The question here is, how do you engage with potential vendors in the Shepparton construction site? Someone's looking to sell you some greenhouse equipment. What's the plan there? I suppose, firstly, for funding of Shepparton, and secondly, for contracting with potential vendors.
Yeah, it's very much a policy to engage with local vendors and suppliers, and enjoy very much journeying to Shepparton. We were there last week. We'll be there again tomorrow, now that our restrictions have opened up. We do see a great opportunity. The best way to contact Cannatrek is send us an email, info@Cannatrek. It will arrive, and we will certainly look to tender out the different elements of the project and use local resources as much as possible.
Right. And another question's come here through, Tommy, as well, is when do you expect the company to list on the ASX?
Magic question. I don't know if I can put a date on that. The plan of the company is to list. We're looking for the right time. It's been very much a target of ourselves to be commercialized, and we're on that pathway as we speak through the tour we had this morning. So I think early next year we'll be able to relook at the timing. It's been a very challenging year in the markets, but thankfully we've seen a great change in the last few months and weeks in the sector. So it will be encouraging.
Yeah, look, I think from the perspective of where I sit, you guys have definitely kept your powder dry from the listed market. You've focused on developing and rebuilding a real business before hitting the market on the prospects of building a business, which is a nice change.
Yeah, that's really important for us and our shareholders and stakeholders to have a proof of concept, which we're doing, and also even better to actually have profits in our balance sheet, which would be really tremendous and really unheard of in the sector. So I think that's the next challenge for the entire industry. We'll see more metrics on financials, which will really show what is the value of medicinal cannabis project and supply chain.
Sure. And look, Tommy, look, last question for you. If there are any other questions from the viewers, do send them through now. But I suppose, where do you see Cannatrek going in the next 5 years? What are your goals?
Yeah, we look at this as a long-term project, sustainable, local Australian supply chain. We're very excited to see the Victorian project be established. We have a number of R&D opportunities with our partners at the university, academic and research level. This is a new sector, and it will take time to develop, but it is certainly happening at breakneck speed. The first few years where we had the regulatory challenges, but now with Australian companies growing, manufacturing, and also having great feedback through patient networks of the performance of this new medicine.
Sure. Look, Tommy, I think it's been really informative, and I really appreciate your time. Sheila, one last question I'll touch on is, how did you get into the space? What was your motivation for starting Cannatrek?
I think on the lookout for new emerging industries. This has been a space which has been highly prohibited, criminalised, and in 2014 we saw murmurs through the Victorian Law Reform Commission. We saw different countries, whether it was Israel or Canada, starting to develop legislation. So personally, as an economist, I saw this as a great opportunity for disruption in the health sector, and even more that we're going back to a very simple, natural product with great therapeutic benefits, and we believe that it should be a choice for patients to choose these products. So it is certainly not a boring space to be in, whether we're dealing with agricultural technology or medical tech, and also the digital healthcare space, which is even more exciting. So we can help the patient and deliver the data appropriately to the doctors to make the informed decision correctly.
Great. Look, thanks, Tommy. That's been really good. And just give everyone a bit of an update. Yeah, so we're at 2.13 million in the book for the crowdfunding offer. Looking to get to 2.5 or more, and we've got a week to get there. So if you do have any questions around investing through On Market, do let us know. Always happy to help. To invest more than $10,000 in a crowdfunding raise, you do need to be a sophisticated investor. Just shoot a question through to support@onmarket.com.au if you need some help on that, and we can help you get on board the Cannatrek story as it continues to evolve and grow into one of Australia's leading medicinal cannabis players. Any final words from you, Tommy?
I just thank you, Nick, for supporting the project and also managing your market platform. It's been a great delight to work with you and your team. And thank you, Jessica, for being a wonderful MC, and Tegan and Emily for taking us through the greenhouses today.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Tommy. Thank you, Nick, for being here today. I would like to wrap up right now. Any last words, Tommy or Nick, before we do so?
We'll see you at the next webinar. Hopefully we'll go to the next stage of how your medicine is made. Look forward to that.
Thank you so much. Thank you again, Tommy, and thank you again, Nick.
Okay, thanks everyone.
Thanks for joining us today, everyone. We hope you enjoyed today's Cannatrek live online tour of our Brisbane facility. On behalf of Cannatrek, I'd like to thank everyone for your attendance today. Don't forget to like us on Facebook for the most up-to-date information on Cannatrek. We hope you can join us soon in our next live tour in our series. Thank you and have a great day.